Check, check. All right. While you guys are getting lined up, hey, let me recognize you. So when I call your name, guys, go ahead and raise your hand so the audience can see you. Luis Alonso, raise your hand. Bethany Andrews, Jarius Bates, Evangeline Hauk, Rebecca Husley, Andrea Petch, Alani Pinnock, Michael Simonette, Cameron Torres, Gavin Torres, and Emmanuel Vela. Students are under the direction of Miss Anna Rowley, Jennifer Malpass, Stacy Saxon, Terry Huron, and Candace Southall. All right. Ann? And again, these are reading passages of Martin Luther King. I have a dream.
Yeah, I will. Readings from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, August 28, 1963, Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Now it's time to make rule the promise of democracy. Now it's time to make justice a reality. Children, as we walk, we must make the pledge. We should always march ahead. We cannot turn back.
I say to you today, my friends, that even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out its true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I have a dream that my fellow children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I have a dream that one day, right down in Alabama, the black boys and black boys goes will be joined with little white girls and white boys as teachers and boarders. This will be the day when if the children will be able to say with new Mary, my church if the sweet land of liberty, if the I say land where my fathers the land of the patriarchs from every mountains let freedom ring.
And when this happens, when we let freedom ring, black men and white men, Jews and pilots will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Our first recognition for tonight is our students and partners who participated in the state competition for Special Olympics. With us tonight, and I'm going to ask them to come up, we have Jana Crow, our Director for Special Education. We have our coordinator, coaches, facilitator, anything that has to do with Special Olympics, Stacy Saxon and Elizabeth Phillips. So I'd like them to come up and join us for pictures. And the first student that we're going to recognize tonight is one of our state golf competitors, and that is Michael Salome, and he is from Robert E. Lee, and he received a gold medal in the individual skills. So Michael, come on up. We also have Sergio Segoviano, who's a GCM student who received the silver medal in the individual skills in golf. And with them tonight is their partner, Brandon Russell. He is a teacher at Banuelos Elementary, and he received the silver medal. We also have a student that qualified for state in unified flag football. And with us tonight is Christian Loza. He's from Rossa Sterling, and he received the bronze medal in the unified team. And one of the partners is Guadalupe Zapeda. He's from Impact Early College High School, and he received the bronze medal in the unified. Sorry. Football, you think male. Yay, Guadalupe. Do I call up Brandon Russell again, right? I also have Brandon Russell, who also worked with that group of students, and he is our teacher at Banuelos Elementary, so come on up again. Next, we have Philip Morgan, our Fine Arts Director, who will be recognizing our students and teachers for achieving superior honors in the training and selection of their respective TDEA All-State dancers.
Thank you, Dr. Duarte. Trustees, Mr. O'Brien, guests, The Department of Fine Arts comes tonight in recognition of superior achievement in dance education. The Texas Dance Educators Association, or TDEA, recognizes individual students through their audition process to represent the state organization at the annual convention and conference each year. This year, I was humbled and invited to attend the TDEA All-State Performance at the Waterway Marriott in the Woodlands, Texas, to see our 3 performers execute choreography developed and directed by some of the top dance instructors in the nation, alongside their all-state peers from across the great state of Texas. It was breathtaking. Their tireless dedication to the campus dance program, success at competitive invitational contests, and their leadership roles therein have earned them the title of TDEA All-State Dancer. First, a junior from Goose Creek Memorial High School, Miss Morgan Birdsong. Morgan is under the direction of GCM co-head dance directors Marissa Coy Yepes and Larissa Coy. A senior from Ross S. Sterling High School, Miss Jasmine Amezcua. Jasmine is under the direction of head director at Ross S. Sterling, Miss Lori Alexander, and assistant director Anashay Partiai. Finally, a senior from Robert E. Lee High School, Miss Reagan Garcia. Reagan is under the direction of head director at Robert E. Lee, Miss Alice Hendrickson, and assistant director Jamie Minyard. Do we have any parents of our all-state dancers in the audience who would like to recognize our parents? If you would, just wave and be recognized. Thank you for your support of our dancers, for our principals, and for our teachers. Ladies, congratulations on TDEA All-State.
All right, next we have Renee Dillon, our CTE director, who will recognize students who represented the district at the Texas Association of Future Educators competition.
As you know, recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers is a challenge that we face annually as a school district. But Goose Creek CISD has an outstanding Grow Our Own program and our education and training pathway. And every year we hire new teachers who went through this program. Students who choose the teaching program of study to earn their endorsement take a coherent sequence of courses to learn about child development and instructional practices. These students also have the opportunity to participate in the Texas Association of Future Educators, or TAFE, student organization. This year, 21 students from Sterling High School advanced to state-level competition with their projects that covered a variety of classroom-based topics. First, we have Francisca Alvarado. Francisca advanced with her bulletin board contest for middle school students. Eliza Bejarano Eliza was in the portfolio contest. Amy Brown, historian for the student organization, advanced with her chapter scrapbook. Yamaleth Cantu advanced as part of the bulletin board contest for middle schools. Connie Fabian, vice president of the student organization, advanced with her children's literature composition K through 3. Connie will also advance to the national competition this summer. Danielle Garcia advanced with her teacher-created material for elementary students. Christina Garrison advanced with her bulletin board project for elementary schools. Haley Gonzalez advanced to children's literature competition, K through 3, and an educational leadership fundamentals test. Haley will also represent the district at the national contest in June. Stassi Peary advanced with her portfolio. Brenda Rodriguez advanced in 2 areas, her chapter scrapbook contest and the elementary bulletin board contest. Mary Ashley Schrock advanced with her teacher-created materials for high school students. And Abby Tyndall, who is the treasurer for the organization, advanced with the Educational Leadership Fundamentals test. These students are under the leadership of Shannon Rogers and Leslie Hemingway at Sterling High School and Mr. Chaddock, principal. If you are a parent or a family member of these students, would you please stand or wave so that we can recognize you as well? All right, next we have Anthony Price, our Deputy Superintendent for Administrative Services, who will recognize our Scholar Athlete Award and athletic resolutions.
Thank you, Dr. Dote. Board members, Superintendent O'Brien, parents, guests. The Scholar Athlete Award is presented to athletes who are involved in varsity sports. These students demonstrate leadership and exemplary performance in team athletics and in the classroom, as well as participate in community services. The following student has been nominated as March Scholar Athlete. From Rochester Sterling, we have Anush Arawal. Anush has been nominated for the sport of tennis. Anush is under the direction of Coach John Trummel. Coach Trummel, if you'll come on up. And Principal Nathan Chaddock. Mr. Chaddock is still up. You can come on up. Anush is a senior ranked number one in his class. Anush takes academically demanding classes, AP classes. He is as a sophomore, Anush made 5s on both his human geography and AP world history class. In the first 2 years of high school, Anush completed and placed 2nd in district number sense and 3rd in general math. Anush is a member of the Key Club, Interact Club, and the Student Foundation. He is also an active participant in the United States Tennis Association and has achieved the status of champ. He has also been participate in Adopt a School, Ho 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 scavenger hunt, the Houston Food Bank. Coach Trummel states that Anush is always determined, never quits, and completes every point. Anush Agrawal. Would Anush's parents, if you're in the building, Anush's parents, would you stand and be recognized, please? Board members, Superintendent O'Brien, I have 4 resolutions. The first resolution is for GCM tennis team. So if the tennis team and coaches will make their way up as I read the resolution. Board of Trustees resolution, State of Texas, County of Harris, recognizing the outstanding achievement of the Goose Creek Memorial High School tennis team, who is District 21 6A playoff team and by district finalists. Recognizing the attainment of this award was a result of dedicated effort by the team members and their coaches. The Board of Trustees of Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District extends sincere congratulations to the students and coaches, and we wish you well in the future. Our next resolution is for the Ross S. Sterling tennis team. The third coach and students and athletes will come up. Recognizing outstanding achievement from Ross S. Sterling High School tennis team, who is District 21A 6A runner-up by district champion and area finalists. Continued success from the Board of Trustees. Our next resolution is for GCM volleyball team. If the volleyball coach and athletes will come up. Okay. From the Board of Trustees, the resolution, State of Texas, County of Harris, recognizing the outstanding achievement of Goose Creek Memorial High School girls volleyball 21-6A playoff qualifiers by district finalists. Recognizing the attainment of this award was a result of dedicated effort by members of the Goose Creek Memorial volleyball team and their coaches. Continued success from the Board of Trustees. And our final resolution is for Ross S. Sterling volleyball team. If the coach will come on up. Recognizing the outstanding achievement of Ross S. Sterling High School girls volleyball, 21-6A district runner-up and by district finalists. Continued success from the Board of Trustees.
All right, our next item on the agenda is our public hearing for a one-time payment for early notice resignation retirement to any full-time teacher, nurse, librarian, and special and speech pathologist.
President, Mr. O'Brien, at this time, the Goose Creek administration would ask that we provide all of those that are seeking an early resignation or retirement to any full-time teacher, nurse, librarian, or speech therapist to please receive the $500 notice that we have done annually for the last few years to give us time to be able to receive those resignations and then be able to post those positions and then be able to go ahead and find qualified applicants.
Administration endorses this recommendation. And now it's time to open the floor for any questions from Mr. Chopper or anyone else.
I'm assuming, Mr. Chopper, the guidelines will be the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Timely submission?
Yes, ma'am. The guidelines will be go ahead and posted on our website. Been notified for all of those people that are interested, and it's like we've done it every year before. Last year we had 64 teachers take advantage of this opportunity.
And the primary purpose is to enable us to procure new teachers for those vacancies prior to the hiring season and late into the summer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chopman. Appreciate it.
Thank you. our next item on the agenda, citizens' participation. All right, this is the time that the board will hear any public concerns or public comments from those who have signed up to address the board. Before hearing such matters, I would remind each speaker that you are limited in your presentation to 5 minutes, and you should not identify any teachers, administrators, staff, or students by name in addressing your concerns or comments. Pursuant to state law and board policy BE legal, the board cannot consider or take action on your concerns at this meeting unless it pertains to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decision on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place this subject on the agenda for a future meeting. Okay, we have 30 minutes set aside. We do not plan to extend that time, but speaking with all the speakers, I believe we'll be able to get all 7 of them in that 30 minutes.
So at this time, Mr. President, I did want to clarify before the public speakers do speak this evening that this initiative that has been brought to our attention as a concern for the citizens was brought on by administration, not the Board of Trustees, that it has been under consideration for the last few years as participation numbers have continued to go down in the program that will be the topic of conversation by many of these comments. And I just wanted to put the responsibility squarely on the shoulders of administration in regards to the consideration of going to a consolidated program. That it is driven by in part, or namely, in fact, by the fact that the numbers continue to go down over the last several years. And we're hopeful to create a robust program, a district-wide program similar to other programs that we have district-wide that become more robust when we combine them together. With that, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent O'Brien. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to butcher this name up front. It was the first name I was going to butcher. I knew the last name. All right. Giselle Amador, the first speaker. Are you keeping time? Okay. Ms. Amador, before you begin, you have 5 minutes. Ms. Jessica Wood, or Trustee Woods, will give you a notice at 1 minute remaining, and you are free to begin.
Perfect. Good evening. My name is Yasel Amador, and the district claims that the concept of a mega orchestra located at GCM is being implemented to save the program. However, this plan will actually kill the program, if not in the whole district, at least in the southern part of our district. And in the process, the district will be guilty of creating a burden on our disadvantaged students. The plan is to bus 11th and 12th grader orchestra students from Lee and Sterling to GCM for first period over the next 2 years. These are the grades that are hardest to retain in the fine arts. And if you think these kids are going to want to leave early to catch up a bus or arrive later at their campuses and miss part of the next period while having to tote instruments, you're living in a fantasy. 10th grade students are being made to enroll as a permanent student at GCM and provide their own transportation. The majority of 10th graders students will not choose to attend GCM. They already have friends, teachers, counselors, AP coaches, and teammates with whom they have developed relationships. They already consider themselves Ganders and Rangers and will not be part of a Patriot. Incoming 9th graders will also have to enroll at GCM as permanent students and provide their own transportation. They will not want to leave their friendships they developed during junior high to transfer to GCM. All of these students will now have wasted years in orchestra, some of them at great expenses, with the ability to move or like they expected when they began orchestra in 6th grade. And what about the junior high orchestra that have been growing in numbers? The junior high school orchestras on campuses which are feeders to School Lee and Sterling would dry up. Very few incoming 6th graders would choose orchestra over the fine arts because they cannot continue on their own high school with their friends. But even if students decide they will be okay to leave all their friends behind and that they want to transfer to GCM for orchestra, how many are actually going to be able to provide their own transportation across town, especially students at Lee? It's about a 10-mile commute for those students. Aren't the students you've been most worried about having equal access to education opportunities? Now you have created a huge hurdle for the very kids that may have the least abilities to themselves to GCM. That is just wrong. I've been around the orchestra program for many years, and in all this time, the district has chosen to understaff orchestra. It is the only fine arts that only gets half a person as a base staff. All of the other fine arts get one whole person, and now the district wants to say the orchestra numbers are falling in the program and dwelling. Well, what did you expect? They set it up for failure by now fully staffing 2 high school programs, and that is where the numbers are dwelling. The numbers are actually going up on junior high campuses that have full-time directors. Finally, the district has prioritized funding for many other programs and yet cannot seem to shell out the small amount of funding it would take to hire 1 more orchestra teacher to fully staff the program, just like every other fine arts. I serve as a bond committee, and I know that that is an upcoming bond election. The district is asking for $12.4 million for a new athletics field house to, and quote, attract, retain students' athletics. I'm not against supporting athletics, but for that amount of many districts could fund 1 experienced orchestra director.
You have 1 minute remaining.
At $70,000 a year, and for over 177 years. Again, that's 177 years. I thought that everything we were doing here, it's on behalf of the students and to the benefit of the students, to provide and to ensure that the students have more and better opportunities to enter colleges and Ivy League universities. Say no to moving the orchestra program to GCM. Say no to killing the orchestra program in our district. Say no to the burden on our disadvantaged students. And say yes to detaining the small amount of resources it would take to attract and retain student musicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amador. Our next speaker signed up is Mr. Jeff Hawkins.
Good evening. The Board of Trustees has chosen to accept the recommendations of its Fine Arts Director and others in the HR department to eliminate the role of orchestra in the Lee and Sterling high schools. The Fine Arts Director acknowledged at a hurriedly called meeting 2 weeks ago that he has little direct experience of orchestra. Nonetheless, he is taking the extraordinary action to terminate 2 long-established programs in the district. This is all in the name of being fiscally responsible. The community is concerned that this action is being taken in a rush to judgment, one that considers parochial interest above the common good. The board stresses the need for good communications throughout its website and other avenues. Nothing about this process has been transparent. A hastily called meeting, little, if any, information, with no feedback from parents and students is unacceptable. The community urges the board to order the Fine Arts Director and all others involved to release all documents, minutes of meetings, emails, telephone logs, etc., which may be pertinent to ascertaining the facts. An open release of the documents, particularly incoming enrollment numbers, could help determine those facts. It would allow the community to respond with alternatives to this draconian approach. Why has the orchestra program in Goose Creek fallen on hard times? Critics of the program would say it isn't as popular as other programs. Teachers might be criticized for not promoting the program enough, or perhaps playing some of those string instruments is more difficult and challenging and only attracts the most dedicated students. There could be many reasons why. Comparing apples to apples works for some programs, not necessarily for all fine arts programs, and 100 students per program may work for some but not all programs. For example, you have proposed spending over $1 million on the robotics program. I actually support this effort and have been involved in it in the junior high level. But remember, at the high school level, there are only about 30 students involved in this. Quite a large sum that should be well considered, but it is out of proportion to that 100 number. And my third year now of being involved with Cedar Bayou Junior High School Orchestra, and initially it was difficult for students to get a full complement of instruction since the teacher originally was only given a half-time position at the school. He split his time at Sterling, where he also endeavored to improve the program. While this was recently rectified at CBJ, Lee and Sterling continued to be staffed at half-teacher allotments. The lack of dedicated full-time positions at Lee and Sterling high schools has hurt the programs considerably. I blame the Goose Creek administration for this shortcoming. The programs cannot be expected to thrive when so little in the way of resource allocation is given to them. Can the board really claim to have done all it could over the years to foster a healthy orchestra program? And whether or not the blame is with the administration, ultimately the board makes those final decisions. I would also like to mention that
You have 1 minute remaining, sir.
time over time during the past decade, the board has asked for money from its taxpayers to fund a very expansionist program. Sometimes this was done without voter approval, as witnessed by the creation of the Impact High School. Now the board is asking for over $400 million to fund an array of new schools improvements and other activities. I noticed a couple of items in this list. The $12 million that was mentioned earlier for a facility at Stallworth, another $8 million for improvements to that area, and a special earmark attached to the bond measure for over $3.3 million of new band instruments. I wish just a small fraction of that could be dedicated to the orchestra program. In summation, I implore the board to cancel this negative action against the orchestra program. The board should immediately address the funding issues to provide full-time positions in all of the junior and high schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Our next speaker is Kaylee Graham.
Hi, I'm Casey Graham. I'm a mom of one of the HMJ orchestra students. I started the online petition. We have over 1,100 signatures in just a week's time to stop the consolidating of the orchestra program. We believe that this would increase transportation costs, raise dropout rates, and lower student involvement in extracurricular activities. This affects the STEM students, swimming students, soccer, health and science, impact, Stewart Career Tech, and we believe that we're going to end up losing the orchestra program altogether. We would like for it to stay at Lee and Sterling, and the parents and the community given more time. We would like to come up with something else other than consolidating the program so that we could keep it in our schools. This is Oscar. He has something to say too.
Is that Oscar Ortiz?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Ms. Graham. Oscar, your turn.
Yes. Hello. I would like to say about like how how some kids here may have put more like electives than just orchestra. Like for me, I put band and orchestra. Apparently, I am not in band orchestra anymore, and they're just like picking kids like randomly, just to put them in either the electives they choose or orchestra. and I just think like limiting their choices will be a bad idea because more people quit, numbers go down, problem will die. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Our next speaker or person signed up is Victoria Coker.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you. Thank you, guests, for coming. My name is Victoria Coker, and I'm a parent of a horace mann child in orchestra. She has dedicated 3 years of her life. And I have a couple things to read. Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. That was by Plato. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. That was Albert Einstein. A consolidation of this program will absolutely be the nail in its coffin. One can only wonder what hidden motive lies beneath this endeavor. I stand by core values indeed. This great state of Texas pays me very well to do so. But this does not appear to be service before self. You say in Goose Creek we build giants. Research has found that learning music facilitates learning other subjects and enhances skills that children inevitably use in other areas. It has also been proven that children who are musically trained have higher test scores. That's from Harvard. You say, how can the rest of the district grow when you're taking away their miracle grow? I'm the proof. I'm one of 5 children, and I'm the only one who has ever been musically trained. I have graduated from Texas A&M University, and I'm the only one who ever graduated high school and college. That's the proof. Please don't do this to our children. Thank you.
Our next speaker is William Cogdell.
Good evening. I would like to address the fact that since y'all guys are going to get rid of the orchestra program in Lee High School in Sterling, y'all would be killing that, and y'all are going to make us high school students choose between our endorsements and our musical career. And think about all the 8th graders out there that would love to pursue music, but they can't because of y'all. Y'all are killing it for them. It's your fault. Y'all can't do that. Like, y'all guys have high school kids and middle school kids who love orchestra. There's at least 50 kids in the Sterling Orchestra program that I know of. And we all love it. We're all in sports. And we want a good, well-rounded education. But y'all guys are taking away orchestra. And I agree with what Riley's mom said. Music helps. It helps you focus. It lets you breathe. It's a good getaway. And I, myself, have been playing the cello and violin for 4 years. And with what y'all guys are taking that away from me. Because I'm not going to go to GCM. I have planted good roots in Sterling High School. And I'm not going to uproot my roots just to go to some school because y'all guys don't want to pay for a new teacher at Sterling or Lee High School. Y'all guys need to find money. We're taxpayers. We should know where our money goes to. And if we want our money to go to an orchestra program, because it should, because y'all guys get your money from taxpayers. That's all I have to say. Just think about it.
next speaker is Randall Kerr.
The school board members, I'd like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak this evening. I'd like to also address the point on preserving the orchestra programs at Lee and Sterling. A few weeks ago, with no prior warning, I found out literally less than 24 hours ahead. We were informed by the Director of Fine Arts that that the district has made the decision to close down the orchestra program at Lee and Sterling, combining them into a single program at Goose Creek Memorial. In order for Lee and Sterling students to continue participating in orchestra, freshmen and sophomores will be forced to uproot and move to Goose Creek Memorial. No transportation will be provided to them, as it was explained to us. So they will be on their own. That is the way it was explained that night by the Director of Fine Arts. It was made very, very clear. The only transportation we were explained that would be provided was for juniors and seniors, and they would be taken over to have their class and they would be returned. But if a student lives outside of the Goose Creek zone, we were told that there would be no transportation provided to them. It is very unlikely that students are going to uproot themselves and remove themselves from their major course of study, from their friends, from their sports, all of their other activities for a single course, no matter how much that course may actually mean to them, no matter how much it may balance them and improve their performance as an overall student academically. According to the director's explanation of this decision, the change was predicated upon his idea that there will be fewer than 100 students between Lee and Sterling participating in orchestra during the 2018-19 school year. Unfortunately, this information appears to be false. According to the information I've managed to gather through conversations with Goose Creek parents and officials, the actual projection for the next year appears to be closer to 120 students between Lee and Sterling, which would certainly be well within the range of a minimum of 100, which is arbitrarily set by the district. The concerning part of this is that the director seems to have gone to great lengths to prevent this information from being made public, apparently because it interferes with his plans to close down the program at these two campuses. The sad part is that historically, if you look back at the director's past performance during his brief tenure in Waco School District, he also was shutting down orchestra programs there. And that's pretty concerning. There's some news articles out there. Just Google it. You'll find it. As a parent and taxpayer, I have to say that I sincerely resent anything less than full disclosure from a public official. This is unacceptable behavior. When we ask for information, when we ask for accurate numbers about the students, about the projections, we expect to receive this information. This issue affects my family because both of my children are zoned for Lee High School. They both play cello. My son is currently a top-ranked student academically at Lee's in the freshman class, plays on the tennis team. My daughter will attend Lee in 2 more years as well. Given my son's academic position, moving him to another campus is out of the question. And then why would we want our daughter to attend a school other than the one that her brother attends? It doesn't make sense. Goose Creek has done an admirable job creating targeted academic programs. This has been accomplished by,
You have 1 minute remaining.
by locating different programs on different campuses, maximizing available teaching resources and physical facilities. However, in the case of a program like orchestra, the facilities already exist on all the campuses. Orchestra staffing, even though it's lean, works. We have immense respect for the directors of this program. My respectful request is that the school board consider alternatives to killing the orchestra programs at Lee and Sterling. If our district can spend thousands of dollars on I-10 propaganda billboards, I think you can find the money to continue funding the arts for our students. Every orchestra and band director is a certified teacher. They're capable of teaching other courses. I ask that you be creative and come up with a solution that serves the community equitably. Mr. Poppy, you led off this evening by reading the board's objectives, developing the whole student. I would ask that you live up to this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Keisha Brooks.
I'm not here to talk about orchestra or rezoning. I'm here to talk about safety of our students. Your kids, Ross S. Sterling High School in the last 2 weeks has had 3 guns brought to school. But yet out of the $400 million y'all have set aside for the bond, what are y'all doing to protect our kids, our future? Do we really want to be the next Parkland, Florida, the next Columbine High? I want my kids protected. We don't need new track running, whatever, for the junior highs. Let them run in the mud. They're kids. We don't need to have new AstroTurf put on Star Wars Stadium. It's fine. Put metal detectors at every entrance. Put somebody guarding the doors to make sure that each one of our kids get home alive every night. We want safety in our schools. I have 2 kids. I have a senior and a junior, and they are both terrified to go to school. What used to be safe is no longer safe. I want my kids home every night. I want the $400 million bonds to go to something that is real out there, and that is the safety of our kids, keeping the guns out of our schools, keeping the knives and the bombs out of our schools, so that our teachers can teach the kids and not have to explain to them why these kids aren't here anymore. These kids don't need to go to funerals. They don't need to see the blood and guts in the hallway after a kid shoots up another kid. I know it's graphic, but it's a real life, and I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for any of my babies that go to school. Please reconsider the $400 million in bonds that you're, and make our kids safe in this school. Now, not next year, not 2 years from now. Now, before it is too late, before we are on the news for something massive. Sterling doesn't deserve that, and I'm a gander. Please consider making our kids safe.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brooks. All right, the next item on our board agenda is discussion item, superintendent's reports.
Yes, we have our communications team coming up. Ms. Beth Gambroa will be presenting the steps that will be taken on the 2018 bond communication.
Autumn.
Actually closing. I'm trying to close this paint over here. Dips.
Brian?
Do you have your microphone?
Is it not yet?
I can hear.
No. What is?
Right here.
That one.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's on. Can you hear me? Yep. I can. Okay. Good evening. We just wanted to take a few moments. This is the communications team. I think everybody knows everybody, but I have Susan Passmore, Mima Trujillo, and Carrie Pryor-Newman here tonight. And we wanted to give you an update on bond communications and what we're planning to do to communicate the entire bond proposal. We have a few goals. Obviously, we want to inform the public about what's in the proposed 2018 bond. We want to address concerns. There is some false information that's out there, so we're going to get correct information to voters and to the public. We also want to generate excitement about a lot of the programs that are in the bond, and that includes the unseen things. So there's a lot of opportunity to drive down a road and see a beautiful new school building, but a lot of the projects are things that the public can't exactly see. So we want to explain those sorts of projects that are included in the bond. And we also want to celebrate the successes of the 2013 bond, because I think as people become more aware of how that was executed, they'll be pretty impressed with how it was handled, the oversight of the CBAC, the Board of Trustees, and through our facilities department, and the decisions that were made. And you'll see a few more of these things come out. You may have seen in the Sunday edition of the Baytown Sun, there was a story on one of the last remaining projects that was our Agri-Science Center. But we have had a few of these things already run, and I believe this one, More Bang for the Bond, actually ran in March of 2013. And at the time, we thought that the bond would come in about $3 million under budget, and now it looks like there's an even better story to tell than that. So we're expecting, I think, about $5 million under budget. So we'll be delivering this news to the community and staff, and we are in a pretty short time frame, so we're mapping out a plan over the next several weeks. So it's a pretty aggressive time frame. That we've divided the administration into pairs, and we've scheduled to date 32 presentations. I think Ms. Garcia may have sent you a list of those presentations. It's already changed a little bit today, so it's going to continue to fluctuate a little bit, but we wanted you to see how we're planning to go out into the campuses and into community organizations. And I think that a few of you are being tapped into to go to some of those organizations as well, so we can make sure that everybody gets a clear and consistent message. We're working on a presentation right now. A lot of us got together in a room today to go over the presentation. Don't have a copy quite ready yet because we do have some more changes to make. But essentially the presentation is broken into a few parts. We'll highlight the major construction projects that are part of the bond, major technology projects, MEP projects, specialty projects, and then we'll talk about the taxes. And so, of course, we plan to do that as you saw. And Ms. Garcia, can you hand out that document, that thing that I gave you? Did you pass that around? Did you pass that to them already? Okay, so she's going to hand you, and this is a draft, so when you get it, you're probably going to throw it in the garbage after you see it because it has bad numbers in it. It's not correct. It's placeholder copy only. But we wanted you to see kind of the direction that we're headed. So at our community, in our presentations to staff, every person will get a handout that will include an overview of the bond. It will include what it means to their campus, and a separate handout will include where and how to vote, and then a frequently asked questions. So on our website right now, it's already live. We haven't really been communicating this actively yet, but we will. There's a button on the bond website, which is the first thing you see when you log in, that says submit your question. And so our commitment is to try to get any question that comes in answered within 48 hours. We have, following that same look and feel that you've got in front of you, we'll have posters in every campus in the front office. We'll be sending flyers home with students, flyers to staff. We'll be doing mailers that provide an overview of the bond and, of course, the frequently asked questions. And then inclusion in school newsletters. We're working on some videos. And this time around, and I don't think this was as prevalent in 2013, we'll have very active social media campaigns so that we can share accurate information and ask our social media partners to share that information as well. So we can reach a lot more people, I think, more quickly that way. And then we have ongoing coverage in local media. So you will continue to see those stories that we'll submit to the Baytown Sun,
but we will also push those out onto our website and to our own social media channels. And that's it. Do you have any questions? Or suggestions? We're always open to, we got some more suggestions today on different audiences that we need to continue to try to reach. So we're always open to those as well.
I have a question, but I don't know if it's for the communications team. Walk me through, please, how we're going to do early voting this year on our bond election. What is our plan for the early voting?
Do you mean the dates and locations, or?
Well, the dates, the locations, is it similar for, like we just finished tomorrow's primary, but early voting for that just ended, but we only had one place in Baytown that we could go if we were going to vote early in the primary. Now, tomorrow, all of the polling places will be open. Is it going to be the same thing for us, for our early voting? Is it going to be in past bonds, the early voting was, it might be on this campus this day, and the next day at a different campus, and the next day at a different campus? How are we handling the early voting?
The plan currently is to have about half the campuses identified for early voting, and then have one designated place for the final day of the vote, and that would be a district office.
So when we open early voting, we're going to have multiple sites.
Yes, sir.
But when we have the actual bond voting on the specific date, it's going to be only here at the administration building.
Yes, sir.
For early voting, there's 12 different locations.
Okay. And how many days will that be open?
It starts April 23rd and ends April 3rd. Oh, sorry, May 1st.
Should be 2 weeks.
That's 8 days?
8 days.
7 days.
Sure it's not going to be on Sunday.
Except for Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday's not listed. It's on
Okay.
the
So
very
basically,
front
it's kind
page
of
on the
opposite of what we
website.
normally do. Multiple sites for early, single site for, it's opposite of what we just did for the primaries.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great job.
Thank you all.
Presentation.
Appreciate it.
All right, next agenda item is item number 7, approval of minutes. We have the January 8th, 2018 board workshop.
Okay. Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by, was that Mr. Richard?
Yes.
We have a second by Mr. Sampson.
Yes.
Right. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Raise your hand, sorry. I'm chair of HCAT too, we do verbal. So. All right, so we have 6 in the affirmative, 0, and 1 absent. February 7th, 2018 board workshop.
Move approval of those minutes also.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Richard, a second by Mr. Ben Poppy. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All right. That was 6, 0, and 1 absence. Approval of minutes for February 12th, 2018 special board meeting.
Move for approval.
We have a motion by Ms. Woods for approval.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Sampson. All right, second by Mr. Sampson. All approve, show by raise by the hand. All right. 6 approval, 0 abstention, or 0 no's, and 1 absence. All right, next item is action items.
All right, administration recommends approval of action item 8A, consideration of adoption of the local policies contained within the reconstructed TASB localized policy manual effective this date, and repeal all previous policies with the exception of DE local, which was recently edited.
I've moved to approve the adoption of the local policies contained, etc., within the reconstructed TASB localized policy manual effective today.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Woods. Do we have a second?
I'll second. You didn't like
All right,
my motion.
Ben Poppy will second. All right, we have a motion by Ms. Woods. We have a second by Mr. Ben Poppy. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
All right.
My concern is we are repealing all local policies in one swift move here except BE local. when this board over the last 12 months has changed some of the local policies to better fit the needs of our district. And my concern is all of those changes are going to be thrown out with the bathwater here. There was one particular local policy that was really discussed at length regarding employees and termination procedures.
Oh, okay.
And I would not like to see that one thrown out with the bathwater with this.
I believe this was policy update 108 and 109 consolidated and represented to the Board of Trustees through TASB.
Correct.
So it was only those affected policies through Board Update 108 and 109. But we can take note and with a modification of the motion, confirm that for you. But you'll have to have a vote.
So we need to go ahead and vote on the motion that we have on the table, and then we can discuss further and come back. Or?
Yes, sir.
Do we vote before we discuss it further?
We can continue to discuss, but
Yeah.
we'll need to. But we still need to have a motion on the table.
Well, I put a motion on
I
the
got
table.
you. No, we still have the motion on the table. That one's still. Before we do any other motion, we have to handle this one.
Down before
yes.
you can move forward.
Yeah. So do we want to discuss further, or do we want to go ahead and vote and then?
Well, my concern would be, though, that the policy Mr. Richard brought up, is that in this one that would be considered, because I know that a lot of the changes that we made based on recommendations from TASB, so is it going to truly affect the changes that we made?
The one we did was a TASB recommendation that we did not put into our local policies. We made a special exception to change that policy to better fit our needs. And I can't quote it right now, but it's under employment, and there are quite a few under the D section, which is employee practices.
They're all listed on page 31 through 38.
Right, I'm looking at page 33, all of the employment practices. Pretty much covers a lot of them, and I can't quote. I tried to find all of our district policies online, but unfortunately, the link is not working to our board policies. And I was not able to verify whether that local policy we changed is being changed back. That's my concern tonight.
Is there anything relevant to this having to pass tonight? I mean, there's not a timeline on the policies, is there? The administration?
Don't believe so.
Okay.
So we could take more time to look at this a little closer?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
We do have a motion.
We do have a motion.
Second, we must move on it.
All right. Well, we do have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All not in favor? All opposed? Did you raise your hand, Howard?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is 0 yeas, 6 nays, and 1 absence.
Administration will bring that back to you at a future time.
All right, next item is a consideration of consent agenda.
Consideration of consent agenda. 1, one-time payment for early notice resignation or retirement to any full-time teacher, nurse, librarian, and speech pathologist. 2, resolution and order approving the Goose Creek CISD School Chapter 313 revenue protection payments for the general fund and supplemental pilot payments for the capital improvement fund. 3, ACT District Choice State Testing License Services Agreement. 4, 2018-19 instructional calendar. 5, agreement between Election Systems and Software LLC, ES&S, and Goose Creek CISD. 6, accept the recommendation provided by the Citizens Bond Advisory Committee and to select Construction Manager at Risk, CMAR, as the delivery method for projects to be funded by the 2013 bond remaining funds. 7, award of RFP for advertising marketing consultant services. 8, interlocal agreement between Galena Park ISD and Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District for commercial driver's license examination services. 9, legal services. 10, budget amendments. 11, district rezoning. I'd like to administratively pull 8 so that we can get clarification on contract language.
Mr. Poppy, I would like to pull 9 for individual consideration.
All right, 9, Mr. Broussard. Any other board members want any items pulled?
Number 4.
Number 4, Mr. Clem.
Number 6. someone already say 9?
Yes.
Okay.
So you got 6?
Yep, 6.
All right. You have 8? Yeah. I have items 4, 6, 8, and 9 being pulled. Does that match everybody's?
Yes.
I had a question about number 11. I don't know that we need to pull it. If I can find it really quick. I'm scrolling as fast as I can.
On the consent agenda, we are allowed to ask questions before we make a motion. So we could ask her a question.
I'm getting there, I promise.
Okay.
I'm on page 78. Almost there. Okay. Okay, so page 90. Okay, so we on the consent agenda, we are asking administration to identify. Okay, I was a little confused by the wording here because it says identify rezoning process and provide direction to administration.
What number 11 is for is there was some concern, although legally I think we're fine, but just to reiterate, make sure the process was the last board meeting, we had the high school rezone. And it was under discussion, even though the top of the thing says you can act formally on any item. So just as to ensure, I put it back on here. But I put it as district rezoning because tomorrow we're going to have a workshop. And tomorrow's workshop, one of the conceptual ideas will be, we talk about rezoning the 3 high schools. We talk about having feeder patterns. Well, those 2 things don't exist at the same time. So right now, the way we're currently set up, we don't have a feeder patterns. Our junior highs are not matched to our high school boundary. So if we left it as just high school rezone, then we would be left to only be able to talk about high school. So I put it as district rezone so that tomorrow we can at least bring up the topic of conceptualizing it. It's a workshop. There's nothing to be voted on. So it's just we can talk about what are our philosophies for having 3 elementaries roll into each junior high and have our 2 junior highs roll into each high school. And assuming with the bond passing and number 17 coming online.
I'm a little confused by the recommended action. Because it's as if you wanted us to identify the rezoning process and provide direction by taking action.
Well, we'll be doing that in the upcoming workshops and the upcoming board meetings in the future.
So you're just
affirming that administration is to move forward with preparing information for the board. It was a point of order from the last board meeting.
You want to pull that or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I have 4, 6, 8, and 9. Any other questions before we? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Move that we approve consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, and 11.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Al-Rashard. Okay, good. I don't want to repeat all those numbers. All right. So we got that. We have a second by Mr. Ricky Clem. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All right. That was 6 yeas with 0 nays and 1 absence. All right. We're going to go in chronological order and start with number 4. All right. 2018-19 instructional calendar.
That's almost too logical, Mr.
Yeah. Us CPAs like to go in chronological order, but I didn't know if everybody else felt the same way. So.
Music people kind of like that too. Let's start at the beginning.
All right, we'll go there.
I'm going to plead new board member ignorance with these questions, and I've tried to do my research on my own, but I want to be sure that we're doing what's best for our students. The calendar A that was first presented was short by almost 3 days of minutes, and I know we're in minutes now and not days, but I'm going to say days to save numbers. And then the 1A changed PLC day in May or April to an instructional day, but that's still time short from the 75,600 minutes. So where are we going to get another 900 to 1,000 minutes?
So we have a waiver that's been approved
approved by the state for 3 staff development days. So those days are keeping us in compliance with our instructional minutes.
Okay. What I read on the Commissioner of Education's website was we have to have 75,600 minutes of instruction in place that won't be waived. So can you explain that waiver to me so that I can make sense of it?
So the staff development waiver will give you up to a certain number of instructional minutes that you can transfer within the staff development time. So our board has approved 3 staff development days for the 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19 school year. And so those 3 days are approved instructional minutes that count towards the 75,600.
So are those going to be those PLC days that are sporadically during the school year?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I think you will remember that I asked for a report about district assessment calendar, and I saw my interpretation is a portion of what I asked for in a board report that we got, but it only included district benchmarks. We have lots of other testing. We have state assessments. We have ACT, SAT, AP, LMNOP, the CBAs, interim assessments, and
So I apologize because we thought you were referring to benchmarks, and that's what we provided in the update. But
is there a master calendar that says, here's all the testing we do in Goose Creek?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just based on the little bit that I got, my own research plus the report that we were given about benchmarks, kids are missing anywhere, tested level grades are missing anywhere from 2 to 2.5 to maybe even 3 days of instructional minutes to take these tests. And then we pile on top of that state assessments and CBAs and the ones that we didn't get. And all those AP scholars that were here a few months ago missed 2 weeks of instructional time to take the AP test. And then Mr. Richard asked for the report about staff development during the school year. We've got students missing between teachers being gone and students being tested, 9 or 10 school days. And it just seems to me that we're taking a lot of instructional time out of the calendar for stuff where kids ought to be with their teachers learning. And I just felt compelled to get that out in the open. So I'd like to see an assessment calendar with everything on it. So thank you.
Any other questions on item 4? All right, do we have a motion for item number 4?
Can I go back to a question?
Sure.
For Ms. Lee?
We don't have a motion yet.
Thank you. Okay. In the development of calendar A.1, okay, which I know I read the memo of why we did it. Could you please tell me who was on the committee with you? Was it the entire IRT, or was it just a select group of individuals?
On the 15th, I actually was not at that meeting.
Okay.
What day was? Today was the entire ILC.
The entire ILC.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion for item number 4, 2018-2019 instructional calendar?
Move approval of calendar 8.1 for the 18-19 instructional calendar.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Richard. We have a second by Ms. Jessica Woods. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, 6 in favor, 0 nays, 1 absence. Next item will be item number 6. Mr. Sampson requests this be pulled, accept the recommendation provided by the CBAC for the CMAR, LMNOP, whatever we're going to delivery method for projects funded with 2013 remaining bonds.
First, excuse me. First of all, I want to congratulate y'all on saving some money. That was a
good thing. There's a few items on here that I was curious about. One, they was talking about the Lee High School auditorium plaster ceiling demolition for $327. Then there was the replacement of it. I guess that's what it meant. It's 900 and excuse me. Let me go back up here. Where was it? But does that include the replacement, the $327,000, and the demolition of the plaster of the ceiling?
No, that item that you see in your package is number 6, I believe, in your bond remaining funds project summary.
Right.
That is just for the demolition.
Okay.
We are going to remove the plaster ceiling.
Okay.
I think we're just doing some minor painting to make that facility safer and useful immediately. And then when we have future funding, we'll be able to do a full renovation of that facility.
Of the ceiling itself?
Yes.
Have we looked,
and several other repairs as well.
Okay, so have we looked at it since the building is so old? Has it been done before, or is this the first time?
I'm not sure if it's been done before. I know it's had several repairs over the years. I'm not sure if it's been completely redone or not.
There was no, my question is.
To my knowledge, it has not been.
So there was nothing in the nature of any kind of asbestos or anything of that nature?
No, I think we keep pretty good records of our remediation and asbestos records, and I don't think that's an issue for this building at all.
But y'all will
if
have
it had some at some point, it's been remediated. Yes, sir.
Okay. I see
We
y'all.
also, just to clarify, anytime we do any demolition, we do have monitoring if that's necessary as well.
So hypothetically, they monitor it and come back, and there's some asbestos, a mold, or something beyond what you're thinking of, and just taken out and putting back. Is that going to change the price on how much it is, or where you're going to pull it from one of these other?
Well, it could change the amount.
So the amount we're talking about overall for everything, I see, but my worry is that we get into one of these projects and somebody with a creative pen and they have an A in front of their name decide that it may be, we may need another $100,000 or whatever. Are we going to try to stay within budget on all of these?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, if these items go, if any of them go over budget, are we going to pull from others?
Well, technically, this is the remaining bond fund, so
right.
There is no more funding to pull from. We have.
Well, I'm talking about pull from what the remaining bond fund. You got $4.some million.
Correct.
So if you got one project that's going to cost more than what it originally was estimated,
then at that point we would probably go back to the CBAC since they've been the committee, the oversight committee, making sure that we are fiscally responsible, and so we'd go back to them and let them know.
Okay.
Ms. Garcia, are these projects listed in any priority order by the CBAC or just a generic listing?
I think these are generic listing.
Yes.
I'd like to point out that numbers 4 and 5 on this list are dedicating over $1 million of the remaining bond funding for security measures.
Yes.
I'd like to go on record seeing that. So that our general public knows that we are concerned with the security of our students and staff.
And I'd like to further clarify the way these projects were pulled together was one, safety and urgency projects, and time constraint and budget that we could fit within this remaining period of use for the bond funds.
I wanted to ask you a question about number 5 because I've been asked this by some of the people in my community, but the exterior doors, will this install card readers, like say on the back doors of campuses?
So we already have several campuses that have, what we initially did was install card readers at least 4 different locations. So if it's a campus, obviously it was harder more difficult at larger campuses, but we tried to do a north, south, east, west. So all exits of to the exterior of that building, but we could not put them at every single door. So this would allow some additional card readers to be installed at highly used doors, like we already did cafeteria entrances, maybe some extra doors where they go out to playgrounds, etc., so that doors aren't being propped open.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the concern.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you go ahead. And we did review the locations with the campuses as well.
You know, the natatorium renovation project, I know that we need to do it and everything, but I thought we put that into our bond.
Yeah, a lot of these are very familiar.
So that's correct.
Basically,
yes,
what we put in.
We pulled items that, with our remaining bond funds,
yeah.
Chose items that were a higher priority, and that was one of the items because students were injuring themselves, and so we
My
decided to
understanding
go
was
ahead.
the swimming pool surface currently creates raw skin on the feet and the toes, so it pushed the way up for student safety.
And also wanted to ask about, he says bleachers, refinish the pool, repaint and upgrade locker rooms, but I've also heard complaints about like the ceiling and the mildewy roof windows. And is there any plan to clean or above the pool?
I think that's in the bond.
Is that in? But there was natatorium work for windows and things like that in the 2013 bond. Wasn't there some?
Yes,
stuff
there
in
was already some minor work done at the natatorium. That could be something that could be looked into as far as some of our, maybe possibly our future roof projects. We could still look into that. We also have a category for miscellaneous repairs at existing facilities, and that could fall under that category.
One last item, number 11. I see the majority of the money is going for the Goose Creek Service Center roof replacement. That building, is that the one by Spur 330, 146, right there?
Market Street.
Yes, that's
yeah. Now that building is how? Do anybody? The service center. How old is that?
It would exceed 20 years, I would speculate.
No, I ain't been on board 20 years. We just built it.
FMC?
Is this a building?
Warehouse?
Isn't this the renovated warehouse on Market Street?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't build it.
No. But I know we renovated it.
No, sir.
But there's no guarantee that they put a new roof on it. They renovated the interior to make the warehouse in the back and the offices and the food services offices. I think it was internal renovation. I would doubt if they had put a new roof on it.
But even that was over 5-6 years ago before I got here.
Well, I just want to make sure if we got any money left from any of these projects that we roll it into our security measures at some of the schools. I don't want to see it going to, XYZ project. I'd rather see it go towards most of
my understanding is they can't spend any money with both board from the bond overage, underage savings without it coming to us, and that's what they're doing tonight.
That's just one thing I want to.
They can't decide to use this $500,000 somewhere else.
Right.
And all of the remaining things that we deem are necessary to be done for security are already listed here.
$75,000.
No, sir. There's two. It's over $1 million. There's two items for security.
One's for $890,000, and the other is for $75,000.
Oh, the alarm. Okay, installation alarm.
And the fencing around the campuses that's currently in progress. That's all part of 2013.
That was all part of 2013, and the upgraded vestibule. So in reality, we accomplished quite a bit with the 2013 bond as far as safety.
These are considered polish or finishing.
Right. I think we're going back to some campuses that already had a vestibule format, but not necessarily the push buttons that we've been talking about. So
you have to be buzzed into Hopper like 5 times.
Well, you can never have too much security.
Nope, not for our
Not in this day
one.
and age.
That's for sure.
Okay, that's all I
All
had.
right, good. Anybody else have any other questions on item number 6? All right.
Approval of consent agenda item number 6.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second, Mr. Sampson, a original motion from Al Bashar. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have 6 yeas, 0 nays, 0 absence. All right, thank you, Ms. Brenda. Next item is number 8.
And that was pulled by administration for verification of articulation.
I believe on this item we have Mr. Ben Poppy will not be able, will recuse himself because he is an employee at Galena Park, and legal recommendation, I will recuse myself because I'm related. We're related. The first affinity.
Does that have anything to do with green shirts?
It is. Green shirts. We're twins. We're twins. Yeah. So I will not vote as well. The other item, it was mentioned earlier on the language piece. I believe it was paragraphs number 7. We will add the language to the extent permitted by law.
That's correct.
Before the hold harmless piece, or to the extent permitted by Texas law and Constitution. That was the only change for that piece. So is there any other questions or comments on number 8?
So we can make that edit tonight and bring it forward for a vote? Okay, so that's on page 75.
Which subheading?
I'm sorry. I'm looking right now.
Okay. Governing law?
Is it number 8?
It's the hold harmless.
It's paragraph 7. I don't know the page.
Thank you. Insurance.
Insurance.
7.
Under insurance, last sentence, I believe.
Yes, GCCISD agrees to hold GPISD harmless for any personal injury or property damage arising from the acts of omission or person. And Mr. Peebles' recommendation was to edit that to read
GCCISD to the
Mr. Peoples, is that your recommendation, just to be tagged on to the end?
To the front.
The beginning.
The beginning of that last sentence.
GCCISD, to the extent permitted by Texas Constitution and yada, yada, yada. And then continue on.
Agrees to hold.
Because I was going to make the motion, but I want to make sure I say it correctly. I move that we approve consent item number 8 with the addition of the clause under Part 7 insurance to say GCCISD in accordance with Texas law and Texas Constitution agrees to hold GPISD harmless for any personal injury. Rest of sentence.
We have a motion, Mr. Rashard. We have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second by Ms. Woods. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. We have 4 yeas. Any nays? No nays. And any absence?
1 absent.
1 absent, sorry. And 2 recused. 2 recused. All right. Got all that.
2 abstentions.
All right. Number 9, legal services.
I asked for this to be pulled. I have 3 comments I'd like to make about it. Okay. First up, I do not feel that using a full-time teacher for legal counsel is in the best interest of our board and our school district. Second, I thought that we were able to utilize the TASB legal services for any policy reviews, and I would think that would even go to administrative guideline reviews. We might ask them for guidance on that. And if we would need legal counsel guidance on changes to administrative guidelines or any local reviews, I'd rather us continue to use our current board counsel for those type of questions rather than move forward and retaining another attorney to do these.
Do we have any other further discussion?
I agree. I was going to pull it also for the same reason.
Same reason?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have any motion? Do we have a motion for number 9? Legal services? Going once? Twice? All right. Fail to have a motion. Next item will be item C.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I thought we pulled 11, but we didn't.
No, we did not. Yes, question.
That's right.
Future board agenda items, board training, board meetings. Are there any future board agenda items any of the board members would like to see in the future?
I'd like to request a report. It doesn't have to be a board agenda item, but I'd like to see a report, and I would like to request the orchestra numbers that are currently enrolled by grade level for all 8 campuses that currently have the orchestra programs, the 5 junior highs and the 3 high schools. Simple spreadsheet, list of schools, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and the number of students under each of those categories for each of the 8 schools. So we can get a true picture of what is currently enrolled, and in our minds we could roll them forward. My second thing would be, I'm assuming, this might be a question for Dr. Duarte, have 5th graders started making their junior high elective choices yet?
Yes.
Do we have all that data in?
I don't think it's all in Teams,
Okay.
but our counselors have it. They have to.
Okay. That would be the next thing, to drop it down to 5th grade, how many 5th graders in each elementary school have requested that. But I understand it's early in the scheduling process, but I think we get a true picture of what our numbers really are so that the board can actually see what the rollover numbers are, because we've got some disparity between what the community is saying the numbers are and what we're hearing the numbers are. So I'd like to actually see a report through Teams of how many kids are enrolled. Thank you. And also the same for the cosmetology too, since we're looking at orchestra. Cosmetology also.
Yeah. And on the same note, Dr. Duarte, is it possible to also pull the last couple of years what our 8th grade numbers were and how many of them elected to go to orchestra at the high school level?
Yes, we have 3 years worth of data.
Okay, because I think that would help tell the complete story. I mean, we can look at where we have been in the junior highs. There may be a trend that says the junior high students do not choose orchestra at the high school and have not for the last 3 years, and maybe it will show the opposite, but I think it's good that we have the full picture.
I know, because between 8th and 9th grade, you generally have junior schoolers going to 9th grade will make choices, and I think that will give us a good opportunity to see what the numbers were and where they are now. If we could take the 8th grade numbers from 3 years ago and extrapolate them to now, let's see how many are still with us.
Any other future board agenda items? All right. Do we have any board trainings? Just have one.
We have NASB coming up in San Antonio in a month.
We got April.
That's San Antonio.
Yes, sir.
April 6th, 7th,
7, 8, 9.
We have a
mandatory in Region 4.
Then we had a Senate Bill 1566 training.
Is that March?
That sounds exciting.
One March and one
It's
April.
scheduled for April 25th at the spring workshop. Mr. Richard could not attend that meeting, so he has scheduled for March the 28th.
So are both of those at Region 4?
Yes.
Yes.
So is it strictly convenience? I mean, are they like
We're having the workshop that evening with them.
the 28th?
Scholarships and
okay.
It's our regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
On the 25th of April?
On April the 25th.
They're coming here? Are they coming here or are we going?
No,
going
at
there.
Region.
Okay. Darn it. I could hope.
Well, it did say there was one date that they had not determined yet that I think they were going to try to do on this side of town. Somewhere. July. Yeah, they were going to try to schedule something on the east.
I don't know.
We want to wait that long.
Ms. Garcia has asked for participation at NASB. Do we have show of hands of who's going to be able to participate? Everyone.
Wow.
Very good. That's a first.
That's a first.
We'll get
Reserved
seating.
Well, that's past students not now. Maybe we get Team of 8 covered there.
Wow.
Yeah,
Could we get Team of 8 covered there?
We're all there?
If we, was Laredo involved?
Yes, sir.
We can all wear our matching
San
shirts.
Antonio.
He has said that he
I don't have that color yet.
So he's committed verbally.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. The full board. That's an accomplishment. Not every board has that. Board meetings, future board meetings, and we have a workshop tomorrow. Anything else?
That's it.
Next meeting will be April.
So.
Well, we're going to.
Second.
Second.
the 7th. We're in San Antonio. They frown upon us having meetings in different cities. You know? No.
It is the 2nd.
Is it the 2nd? Okay. Clarify.
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Okay.
And it's April 7th through the 9th.
Okay, then April 7th to the 9th is the NSBA. All right. Hold on. All right, next item, closed meeting. Which one do I read here? The board will now recess into a closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section. Gotta read them all. Let's call the numbers. 551.071, 072. 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, 084, 087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed meeting. Let the record show we came out of closed session at 9:03 p.m. That was 9:03, sorry. All right.
Item F, consideration of personnel. Administration recommends that the board approve the elections and accept the resignations as presented.
All right, do we have a motion for elections?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Clinton. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Richard. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All okay. 6 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. Number 2, accept resignations.
Yes, sir.
Move to accept the resignations of the 3 employees listed in the board packet.
Second. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. 6 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence.
And just for the sake of accuracy, the elections there were 2. It reads on the screen 1, approved election, but it should be plural. There were 2 elections. And administration at this time would like to pull item G for future consideration if needed.
All right.
Move we adjourn.
We have a motion for adjourn. Second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Sampson. First, Richard. Any discussion? Okay, good. All right.